welcome back to the Hauntsville Cryptcast. I'm Anthony.
I'm Anna.
And I'm John.
Today we're talking about Heatwave Horror. We're talking about those movies where our protagonists have to beat the heat or die trying. This list was a lot harder than I thought that it was going to be. I really thought, you think Heatwave Horror movies, you got instant images of people sweating and running and trying to get by. Mm-hmm. But there are not a whole lot of movies that, one, take place in the summer, and two, really make the heat matter. And that's what I was looking for most in these. Like, we talked about some of these good summer horror movies that were focused on camping and beach trips, etc. In our Summerween episode. But I wanted something that felt like do the right thing as a horror movie, where the heat is really putting everybody on edge, putting everybody at their wits' end. And we start seeing instances where, like, the heat makes people make bad decisions.
Right.
Yeah, I definitely know what you mean. I found it really difficult to find movies that had the lighting that came to mind when I thought of Heatwave. Like that really obnoxious, bright orange LED lighting that makes you feel completely oppressed. There's actually fewer of those than I really thought there was, and also just where heat is a catalyst or like makes the situation worse.
Yeah. I feel like everything that I thought of was coming down to some sort of summer camp movie. So when I first dove into this, I was like, right, Friday the 13th. I'm like, wait a minute, no, that's more camping. That's slashery. And then, even Jaws, I'm like, okay, well, it's just set in the summertime. It's not really one of those where now the heat is another foe that they have to face. You know what I mean? The first one that comes to mind with anything like that is The Ruins. Yeah, because that's just putting that's the sand timer on the whole entire movie, where they've got to beat that, and they're stuck basically just cooking on top of that pyramid.
Yeah, I love that movie. There's just so much amazing. Everything about that movie is just amazing. Like, they did a great job with the language barrier that gets them in this in the first place. Yeah, the isolation of them actually being stuck there. The oppression of the heat, because they are now physically suffering for it, but also there's the mental decline that movie really focuses on, and how much of it is, are you going crazy because of the heat, or are you going crazy because of these voice mimicking plants? That's one that I can never get enough of. Anytime we get a chance to talk about it on our lists, I have to sit down and read the book at some point, because I've only heard great things, and for as much as I love The Ruins, there are points where it could be better. Just a product of the time and its budget and whatever. I think they did the best with what they had, and they made a great movie that we talk about a lot. But I can only imagine how far that goes in the book.
Yeah.
I do think that it checks both boxes in the oppressive, scorched lighting, and also heat being like such a catalyst to everything and making everything so much worse than it could be. I didn't realize until recently that it came from a book. And it was the same. I had the opposite with Burnt Offerings, which was a book, and apparently is very much in the book. The heat is a huge catalyst, but the movie does not show the heat being a catalyst, which would make so much more sense for the movie. I love the movie, but it would make so much more sense to have heat be a catalyst in that movie.
Right.
Yeah, Burnt Offerings is a good one. I enjoy that movie. It is a pretty solid 70s gothic. But what it really misses is that catalyst, because a lot of strange things happen in that movie, and there is that madness element to it. But in the book, the whole thing starts because they live in Queens. They are in the middle of a heat wave in the summer in New York. Their neighbors are annoying them. They're annoying each other. Everybody is getting on everybody's nerves at this point. And so they decide to take a trek out to Long Island and rent a home either on the water or in a secluded, shaded area just further out east, so that they're not so succumbed to the heat and the stifling city blocks that they're a part of.
Right.
So when you factor that in, there are these sequences in Burnt Offerings where things within the house change, things within the family dynamic change, and because of the heat, you have to second guess whether or not it's just them going stir crazy. Some of them want to leave at certain points, and for one reason or another, they can't. And then they spend a lot of time in this beautiful swimming pool. And slowly the house starts to adapt to the family, pool included. And so with that element of them coming out here to beat the heat in the first place, of course they're going to spend time there. Of course, this pool is adapting to being the perfect spot for them. And then because of how perfect it is and how maddening the scenario is and how much they don't want to be away from this refuge, you get them starting to act violent toward each other.
Right.
And I think that for the movie to have removed that small opening element, I'm not even kidding, it's probably the first chapter or 2 chapters, 10 to 20 pages, but it makes a world of difference in this story having that kind of impact.
Yeah, it makes a completely different movie. You know what I mean? Like, I didn't even realize that was an aspect that we were looking at that was missing because I haven't read the book. But knowing that now, I mean, how many movies can we kind of like give more credit to the protagonist for their short temper if we're just like, hey, by the way, it's like 98 degrees outside and super duper humid, you know?
Yeah, I love that because like you get a physical discomfort for your characters. You want to feel for them a little bit more because the heat's got everybody acting crazy. You act out of character. I mean, who hasn't been agitated on a hot day?
Yeah. I'm agitated if it's over like 70 degrees, dude. I'm not built for this.
I'm with you. I want to crawl out of my skin. I'm built for the autumn.
Yeah. And it makes a difference when you start taking into consideration like now it's not just the humidity and the stickiness. It's like just the sun beating down on you when you can't take any refuge, which makes me think of Tremors. I don't know if you guys would throw that in there.
I would. I absolutely would.
Because, again, that's another one where you're like, you're stuck. You don't have the opportunity to run for cover. So now your only refuge are these rocks, where that's what's keeping you away from emitting those vibrations that the graboids can actually feel. So, yeah, it's one of those, again, where you're just sitting there baking, trying to come up with a plan. And that's just going to make it harder to think. You know what I mean? Like, eventually we come up with this, like, pole vaulting idea to get from rock to rock, which is genius. But how much more quickly would they have come to that conclusion if they weren't faced with the sun just beating down on them the whole time that they're sitting there?
Yeah, it's the open exposure, the isolation, and being forced to deal with this external obstacle. I love Tremors. It progressively gets worse and worse and more complicated. Another big reason I would put Tremors on this list is I think further down the line in the series, we find out that the reason that this particular clutch of graboid eggs hatched is because of global warming. It's because the Earth is getting hotter. And so, I mean, the big toss-up is either graboid eggs hatch in 100-year cycles, which I think we learn in 3 or 4, or because of global warming expediting or reinvigorating these particular eggs into hatching.
Right.
So I definitely think Tremors is a good add to this list because now, yes, you have the element of the actual characters dealing with heat exposure, but also the heat being the catalyst for them being in this in the first place.
Right. Yeah. See, like, for me, part of the heat wave element is also the difference in seeing horror taking place in the daylight, right? Where we're so accustomed to seeing something set at night, the slasher or whoever is taking advantage of the shadows and using that for cover. And then when we set it in the daylight, now we're taking a lot of those elements away. And it's creating that cognitive dissonance of like, wait a minute, I'm supposed to be safe in the daylight. I'm able to see everything. There's less places for this creature, this, antagonist to hide. And then it's the heat, the sunlight actually turns on you, But that's interesting too, is like just trying to get people to be uncomfortable in what feels safe.
Yeah. And I definitely think that being physically exposed element of not having the dark as cover is a great example of where The Burning shines.
Okay.
The Burning might not be one of my favorite horror movies or slashers, but credit where credit is due. And again, finding things that fit this specific criteria is harder than expected. But a lot of The Burning takes place during the day. There is the actual catalyst of fire being why our slasher becomes our slasher.
Yeah.
So talk about heat then and there.
Yeah.
But then one of the most iconic scenes in The Burning is they're all trying to take refuge from the heat in the lake. They all go for this swim, and that's where we start getting our real disappearances. We start getting our real hunt. Everybody's out and exposed. He has perfect view of them, and he knows the lay of the land.
Yeah.
So I think The Burning is another really good example of where these elements work to the advantage of our antagonist and of the oppression of having to survive in an area you're not familiar with in conditions you're not comfortable with.
An example that I just thought of is the raft from Creepshow 2.
Oh, shit.
Because it's the heat, again, becomes the catalyst for all of this, right? They're looking for a spot to swim. They find this lake. They head out to the raft and everything, and that's when they wind up getting stuck. So again, it's kind of like, I guess for me, what a lot of the horror is being in that isolated setting, being in that singular setting where it's like, we've got nowhere to go from here.
And they've got nothing with them.
Yeah.
There is no option for survival. That's like a neat, 30 minutes?
Yeah.
That's a clean 30 minutes of pure dread.
That, I remember that being one where, like, I remember the scene where the girl wakes up with all of the goop on the side of her face and she starts to melt, and then it just pulls her through the raft. And I watched the Creepshow movies at way too young of an age because they were just on cable when I was a kid. So I would watch that constantly. And there's just, I don't know, maybe that's why those, The Ruins, Tremors, Creepshow, why those ones stand out to me so much, because you're forced to just sit and wait and try to plan things out and trying to outsmart what you're up against, how important do you think the setting is to feeling like one of those Heatwave movies? Because you know that the weather is going to be a factor, right? But how important is the setting?
I definitely think that that's a huge factor there, because, I mean, you can have a heat wave and still have cover, and then you're going to get a different story.
Right.
That's where, going back to Burnt Offerings, I really think they sold themselves short, because, sure, you've got the covering of the manor house. For all intents and purposes, you've got every amenity that you need.
Yeah.
You came here for a reason, and the elements are providing. But because in the book you have that initial environmental issue, it has a whole secondary meaning to it.
Right.
I think it's also important who you're with, because I think you could have everything that you need to stay cool in that situation, but if you are with the wrong people and the heat and the madness have already got to you and you're with the wrong people, I think that's definitely a thing. If you're on your own, you're going to go crazy on your own. It's not going to be as harmful to anyone but yourself. But a lot of these movies, it's about the people that you're with, and the relationships dissipate because all there is just heat and pain, and people just are blind rage or blind madness in those situations. And I think that's a huge catalyst, is like who's around. And that's what makes me think like the Do Your Right Thing, like it's absolutely about the people in the situation.
How fast people turn on each other.
And that's why I thought that Send Help was such a fun movie, because
that's the newer one with Rachel McAdams, right?
Yeah, Sam Raimi's new movie.
Okay.
It was so much fun, and heat plays a huge factor. Obviously, like, they're stuck on an island, but they're having to be resourceful, and it completely matters who they're with in that situation. And it's so fun, but you also feel so much pain the entire way through with everything that happens to them and every situation that they're in. I thought it was such a fun movie.
Yeah, kind of putting that back on target with The Raft.
Yeah.
Because The Raft, you have absolutely nothing.
Mm-hmm.
In Send Help, you have a survivalist who is making the best with absolutely nothing.
Okay.
And it becomes so important because there's a point where, for anybody who hasn't watched it or hasn't even like seen anything about it, because I feel like this was one and done in theaters real quick. This woman and her boss get into a plane crash. They are the only survivors. They're on an island together. She's a survivalist and he is like a typical corporate bro.
Right.
He's ill-equipped for this. She's fully prepared for this in her element and her glory. And at one point, the two of them separate. They get into an argument. He thinks he knows best. He thinks he's learned enough from watching her. And it really gets into the importance of how you utilize your resources, because the water he drinks is wrong or not filtered properly.
Right.
The shelter that he builds for himself isn't built right. It's not beating the heat or the rest of the elements. And you've got somebody like her who is surviving and thriving. So yes, the people you're with, yes, seeing how quickly people turn on each other depending on how the elements sway in their favor. Yeah, this was great just watching the two of them at odds with each other for almost this whole movie.
Yeah. And it really has like the same kind of lesson as The Menu of like, just because you've watched it, if you haven't experienced something, you've watched a few videos on it, you're an expert. And yeah, her boss just happens to be not only like this corporate finance bro kind of guy, but also he's inheriting his role from his dad. So he's never really had to learn anything. And the way that factors in is just so good. But I can't say too much about what happens throughout the movie without spoiling it, but it's so clever. And it really got me a couple of times where I just had no idea what was happening. I was like, oh my God, that was so good. But the heat is what I think about most when I watch that movie. It's it's painful to watch people just burning to a crisp, literally.
Right.
I'll say two things about Send Help, though. I don't think it was advertised right.
No.
I don't think that this movie leads with horror. So I think a lot of people saw Sam Raimi's name attached and forgot about Spider-Man. I don't think it leads with horror, but it also definitely, you have to be prepared to lean into the Sam Raimi-isms.
Right.
Because there's some scenes in there that are just straight up his crazy Evil Dead style moments. There is a fight sequence that is done the exact correct Sam Raimi way. There's a sequence with a boar that is not just a hunting expedition in this movie.
Right.
That boar came straight out of the Evil Dead.
See, I'm thinking of the way that he approached Drag Me to Hell. How it's just like absurd scene after absurd scene.
Yeah. Even when he tries to make a serious movie, then he can't help himself but make it fun.
Yeah. And you're right too, like for me to say, for you guys who have seen it and me to be like, oh yeah, is that new Sam Raimi? I'd heard about it, but yeah, it's I guess they didn't push it. I don't know. Did it have a theatrical
You had 40
release?
seconds to see it in theaters, and then it was done.
Yeah, we didn't catch it in theaters, and we wanted to see it. We had to wait until it was on streaming.
Tell the people where it's available.
It's a good question because I don't remember where we watched it.
I think we watched it on Disney Plus, because now Disney Plus now has Hulu.
I love that, yeah.
So all of the Hulu stuff you now can find on Disney Plus.
Awesome! I can watch the Wu-Tang Clan documentary on Disney Plus. In between episodes,
it's scary,
of Bluey.
the stuff that you can watch on Disney Plus now. Yeah. But speaking of Disney Plus, actually, that's where I found probably one of my favorite new films on my list for this episode. There's a film called The Seeding I wasn't searching for anything on Disney Plus because I forgot that there was horror on Disney Plus, and I opened Disney Plus just to see what was new on there, and it was the first thing that was recommended, and I was like, oh, this looks like a Heatwave Horror. That's great. Great timing. But
there's a new release for Disney Plus. I think we got on Disney Plus at the right time because it just hit their streaming.
Yeah, we literally just watched it yesterday. it just came around right on time for this episode.
Nice.
But I loved it. It was like, I think my review on Letterboxd for it was, imagine if they did Hills Have Eyes, but good. They took away the SA and in fact pushed women being integral. And they did it all just really beautifully. And it was just so good. But it's not Hills Have Eyes. That's not the story.
Okay.
But it's got the same vibes as Hills Have Eyes, where you want that like Texas Chainsaw, Hills Have Eyes, like the inbred heat wave oppression. And they gave me all of that and mixed in this fantastic folklore story.
Huh. Okay.
I was just so impressed with everything, but it was definitely oppressive, and it was definitely
Isolating.
What was this one called again?
The Seeding.
Okay.
Yeah.
Can't recommend it enough, especially if you're looking for Heatwave horrors. But like, this was just a good. I don't know why I hadn't heard anything about this sooner. It did give me everything that I wanted. It checked all my boxes for Heatwave, but just in general, going back to talking about the people you're with, you get this hiker who gets stranded in this gorge, and for some reason there is a single house in this gorge, and there's just this lone woman who lives there. And so most of this movie is watching them interact with each other, watching him try and get help, and finding out why she lives the life that she does down here, and finding out that there's a place, quote unquote, called the Palace not far, and the type of people who live there and why.
Okay.
So you're going mad with the heat. He's going mad because of injuries he's sustained on this hike. And by the same token, like, kind of being Stockholm syndromed into being here for longer than he needs to or wants to. Because at the very least, his base needs are being met in all the time that he's here. So it's like, do I go back to civilization, or do I just give up?
Interesting.
It's a very clever movie.
It was very much beat the heat before it beats you.
Yeah.
But for me, when it comes to the people you're with in this, I don't know if either one of you took me up on this after the Summerween episode we did last year, but The Sand. I love talking about The Sand because this movie...
I know you do.
It's very schlocky. It's very kitschy.
Okay.
It's the aftermath of a beach party where the sand will kill you.
I've seen the trailer, and the trailer is hilarious. Is it meant to be hilarious?
It's a good time. It's definitely got its very comical moments.
Okay.
Some humor doesn't land. Not for everyone, but I have a great time with this movie. There's a couple twists that are unexpected, but ultimately you get the few stragglers who didn't leave the beach party all wake up on this scorching summer day. And for a while, one, you're dealing with the heat, you're dealing with the lack of resources, but because you can't touch the sand, everybody is isolated from each other and just shouting to one another from the places where they landed.
Okay.
And for a minute, you don't know whether or not it's because the sand is burning that these people are suffering, or if there's something else happening with the sand.
Right.
Spoiler, there is. But you get a few like snapshots from the party before all this happens. So you're getting the baseline of their relationships to one another. And then you watch who comes through for who and whose friendships crumble during this situation. And the heat really plays a factor here because everybody's out, everybody's exposed. I think there is a couple who ends up... they wake up in their convertible. And so at one point, the inside of the car becomes compromised.
Okay.
And so they're stuck on the hot metal roof and trunk of this car, trying to get to one another, but unable to touch the sand to cross one another. So you've got them building structures, trying to knock over lifeguard towers, like whatever they can do to get to one another, just to survive this thing. And everybody's burning, everybody's suffering. And these things keep happening within the sand that are just making it impossible. And it truly is a matter of everything escalating and getting worse minute by minute of this film.
Okay.
Yes, it's schlocky, hokey, and fun. It doesn't take itself too seriously, but I think some of the kills and some of the gore and some of the way that they make the heat factor into these relationships deteriorating really makes this worthwhile.
I have to check that out.
So that car sequence really got to me and immediately brought me back to, I think, a movie that gets overlooked. Especially when it comes to, like, you want summer horror. Cujo. Cujo takes place during a heat wave. Everyone in Cujo is sweaty and gross. Everybody's mad at each other.
Right. Dee Wallace is so agitated.
Dee Wallace is agitated. Everybody is like, their relationships are already crumbling. There's an affair taking place. There's a dude who's about to lose his job. There's like from the book, not the movie so much, there's a murder subplot happening.
Okay.
And so, like, police involvement becomes a little bit more integral, but the most of Cujo, all the important aspects of Cujo take place with a mother and son trapped in a hot car with, for some reason, the car is rebelling against them at every turn. They cannot get
Because it's
out.
Christine.
I didn't even think about that, because it's all just like actual physical problems with the car.
I haven't seen it, but I'm just guessing it's in the Stephen King
I don't
universe.
think you can watch Cujo because
I will never watch Cujo.
Definitely does not have a good time in it.
No, and I've seen that Sweet Baby Dog, and I would not be able to handle that movie.
Yeah, I like Cujo though, because, like, yes, Cujo has rabies. Yes, Cujo has a body count by the time we get to this car sequence.
But he's the best guy around.
But Midas. But Cujo is, like, kind of not the problem in Cujo. Cujo is just the inciting force behind things getting worse and crumbling.
Right.
Because, like I said, like, for the most part, this mother and son are trying to survive being trapped in this hot car. And Cujo is just the thing that's keeping them in there. But
Right.
the car is breaking down. Their relationships are deteriorating. The kid's pretty annoying.
Yeah.
So imagine, like, him being on one while you're just trying to get by in this hot car.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think Cujo is a really overlooked summer horror. Like
I had not thought about that.
Atmospherically, everything is burnt yellows and sweaty.
Yeah. And in the way that, like, 70s and 80s horror can.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? I was like, so one of my old cars did this thing where you'd get to a red light and the engine would cut off, so the AC and everything would stop. And if I forgot to switch that off, my son would be in the back seat and he'd be annoyed, because it's hot while we're waiting for the light to turn green. I can't imagine being in a hot car. That's one of my worst fears ever. There are times where I've driven to work and I, like, turn around and check the back seat, being like, oh my God, did I leave him in here? And I'm like, no, I didn't have him with me on my commute. So I can't imagine thinking about the heat and how uncomfortable it makes you, and add to that a giant dog. It's not a good time.
You just mentioning that as your, like, parental fear totally took me back. There's a short story, and I wish I could remember the name and the author, but I think I heard it read on probably No Sleep podcast.
Okay.
This was like a chilling story because for the first couple of rounds, it is just this guy telling you about his average boring day in the middle of summer and, like, fighting the heat to get to work and, like, really emphasizing, where I'm going
I
with
know
this.
the
We listened to this
story
together.
Yeah, which means that it was probably not that podcast.
Probably not No Sleep. And it could have been an Antiquarium.
I think it might have been an
episode.
Antiquarium. Yeah.
Antiquarium of Sinister Happenings.
My stomach just went. Yep.
You get annoyed because this guy's annoyed, and all he keeps talking about, he's just complaining the whole time about the heat, the drive, whatever. And, like, if you're not paying attention, one thing goes wrong in this guy's schedule where he has to take his kid to school.
Okay.
But he's so in the drudge of, this is my routine, this is every day. He doesn't and the reveal is that he's let his kid die in the back of this hot car.
Oh no.
And like you're so lost in his routine and his complaining that you don't realize what's happening until he reveals what's happening.
Right.
I got to find the name of that story and what podcast it was on, because that's Heatwave Horror. That's that parental fear realized.
Yeah.
That's Cujo escalated.
It's literally, that is probably one of my biggest parental fears. You know what I mean? Like, choking, I feel like I'm prepared for. You know, like my son has dislocated his elbow more times than I care to count, just because he doesn't sit still. But there's the fear, the very real fear of like I'm tired. I haven't gotten sleep because of the child. I haven't, I'm frazzled. And just anytime you hear about those cases where parents have left their kids in the car, it's the most tragic thing. And like, yeah, there's unfortunately been cases where it's been done on purpose, but like the ones that are genuine accidents, like you can tell. And it's just I guess the way with which he's telling the story and how mundane his day is. And like you start to see where it's like, you hit that point where you realize, and you do in like an oh shit moment, and that's when you realize, like I'm saying, I have those moments where I haven't had him in the car with me in 2 or 3 days, and I just do a panic to like spin around and check the rear view mirror real quick, because it's just my worst nightmare there. So add on top of that a dog and someone trying to sell me solar panels or something like that. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I'm just gonna stay in the car now.
Ugh. Sorry, that's just like made me feel really sick.
I remember our reaction to hearing that story.
Yeah. No, that was horrific. I do think that as much as, because I didn't know if I was going to be able to find enough heat wave that was actually heat, then I started focusing on like the Dust Bowl heat wave type of eras.
Of a drought.
Because, I was like, well, heat causes drought, and drought is also another issue.
Right.
And immediately, like, 3 of the coolest things in horror for me that I've seen came to mind. The first one is The Wind, which I've spoken about a lot on this podcast, so I'm not going to go on about it too much. But it's definitely perpetuated by heat and isolation, and
there's definitely a madness element in there.
Absolutely. And the not being able to leave because of the drought and the wind and the dust.
Right.
Another one that I feel like really encapsulated this was Hold Your Breath, which I think was a Hulu exclusive.
Okay.
I know this one.
I know it's on Hulu because I had it pinned for a while, but I was actually put off because it's one of the main actresses for American Horror Story, and
okay,
I don't like American Horror Story. Yeah. But it was really, really good, and it was the same type of kind of era as The Wind.
I have seen Hold Your Breath. We did watch this together.
I think we did, yeah. And it's about like those small towns in those isolated areas, and the paranoia that comes with the isolation and being a small town that has such big religious influence.
Okay.
As well as the dust clouds and the oppression, like physically and mentally, that dust storms can bring in those areas.
Right.
And I just thought it's a mother basically trying to protect her kids from what she thinks is an evil entity of the dust in these storm clouds or dust clouds. And it's difficult to really like say anything without giving it away, as usual.
Right.
But it's beautifully played out. It's tragic, and it's definitely plays on the parenthood aspect a lot. The third one is the TV series Carnival.
Okay.
Which is just one of the greatest shows ever. I'm so mad that it didn't continue, but I'm also kind of glad because it probably wouldn't have they would have milked it for way too long.
I don't know. The writer had 2 more seasons planned.
Don't tell me that. I want them.
love
I would take this
Carnival.
in book form. If you are listening, I would take this in any form. The story is beautiful, and Clancy Brown is immaculate.
Yeah, Mr. Krabs as a Dust Bowl era preacher.
He's one
I
of
love
the greatest.
Clancy Brown in anything. Yeah.
He's one of the greatest actors ever.
But I love all 3 of those. It took me a minute to remember Hold Your Breath, but rules and religion play a big factor in both of those, and it really comes into these are the things that these people held to just to get by. So it's the rules on how you use your resources and how scarcely you delegate everything. And the religion just being like trying to find faith in something when there is nothing left, when you are desperate. Kind of going back to the raft and the ruins. I mean, the ruins also has a religious element. This is a temple that they're on, essentially.
Yeah.
You have to find faith in something when you're absolutely desolate and deprived of everything else. And in all 3 of those, there is an element where that faith is taking advantage. You have to live by these rules so that somebody else or something else can prosper. And I guess kind of the same with the ruins, because it's the rules to live by so that this group of people can continue to live and thrive when this danger is lurking just outside their door. Green Inferno has that same kind of idea where you are now in this other group of people's area, and you have to go with the rules that they live by.
Right.
Green Inferno does a great job of putting the heat on, of really taking people out of their element and forcing them into discomfort.
Yeah.
I will say the discomfort in that movie is great. And to continue on this point, I think Eli Roth lives in summer horror.
Okay.
I think between that, Cabin Fever,
yeah.
we can't have this conversation without Cabin Fever.
Yeah.
Love it or hate it, I think he thrives there. And Cabin Fever is sweaty and uncomfortable, and the actual fever element of it taking place throughout just really makes this hard to sit through, hard to stay comfortable watching everybody else suffer in discomfort.
I love Cabin Fever. That's I didn't love Green Inferno. I haven't really loved anything else that he's done, but Cabin Fever is the one that I go back to, and I can watch that again and again. And it's probably because I feel like it's the least Eli Roth movie.
It's also early Eli Roth.
It's early
It was
Eli
before
Roth.
he got pretentious, probably.
Before he became Eli Roth, if we want to put it that way.
I don't know. I've seen the interviews.
Yeah, it doesn't seem like he's ever been good or
Not
nice.
Eli Roth. But yeah, that's if we want to say that it's because it was early on. But yeah, that's another one where the heat really does become an element of its own, and you can just like imagine what everything smells like. You know what I mean?
The almost like contagion element where like you're watching this discomfort spread to everyone.
I mean, the good thing about Cabin Fever is Ryder Strong.
Yes. I think that's it too, is the cast. The cast was also very strong. The cast was really strong, and I think that they really helped to pull the story together in the distrust that you get, the heat egging things on, and everyone being uncertain of like, should we quarantine this person? Should we not? Should we, did we really get exposed to something or did we not? Like, can the authorities help us or won't they? So yeah, the movie is just riddled with all of that distrust. Add on to that. Well, did it take place during the summer, or is that more of a fall movie?
It's a good point.
Is it not a summer movie?
It may be. No, it's definitely a summer movie because they have the scene where they swim out to the raft, and I don't think that they'd be doing that nice crisp fall weather.
You never know. But I didn't go back and rewatch this for this. I just went on what I remember.
Okay.
From Cabin Fever.
I just think the only 2 things that I remember from Cabin Fever are Ryder Strong and the shaving of the legs. because
Yeah. Don't you hate it when that happens?
Oh my god. No. Actual pain right now in my leg. Yeah, no, that scene was brutal. And then just continuing to shave.
Yeah.
And no, I don't think there's any person who shaves their legs who can watch that and not feel very, very sick.
Yeah.
I also don't think that there is anyone who is a millennial who was attracted to men who grew up with Boy Meets World that wasn't annoyed that after not being able to see Sean from Boy Meets World for so long that he comes back and dies. That really bothered me at the time. I was so excited to see Ryder Strong again. It made me uncomfortable.
But I do think that he lives in the discomfort of summer. And I gotta say that I hope that Ice Cream Man, truck, whatever.
Ice Cream Man, yeah.
What Ice Cream Man?
Is it a remake of Ice Cream Man?
I don't think so. It kind of looks like Eli Roth doing Weapons, but like Ice Cream Man was weird.
Ice Cream Man was weird, but it had its rules set up. You know what I mean? Where this definitely does look like Eli Roth just went, I could do that.
As he so often does.
In the original Texas Chainsaw Massacre, correct me if I'm wrong, they are on a summer road trip to go to like their family home that they haven't been to in a while, and they just happen to get swept up in the neighbor's business.
Yeah.
But there's a lot of elements in that movie where they are trying to beat the heat, they are trying to keep themselves busy, they are trying to celebrate summer vacation. And you really feel the scorching bright yellows and burnt film look throughout Texas Chainsaw Massacre.
And everyone's really sweaty.
Everyone's really sweaty.
Yeah.
Especially in the remake. Everyone is just completely covered in oil. Yeah.
Sprayed down.
Jessica Biel's shoulders are like the main thing that reflects the sun in that movie.
Juliet is the East, and I am Jessica Biel's shoulders.
That could have been worded a lot.
I don't know, Shakespeare. That's your jam. What is it?
Juliet is the East, and wait,
somebody's the
hang on.
The West.
See, I'm not alone in this.
It's too hot, guys. That's my new excuse.
But yeah, I think Texas Chainsaw Massacre is really where I started for this list because it's so classic.
Yeah.
It does have all of those elements in it. The heat could play more of a factor, but I think, John, you're talking about movies that you can smell. When you're in that hot, meaty butcher station in both of them, when you come across it in the house in the original, and when you come across the fucking gross like pig's head in the gas station deli window.
Yeah. The chicken room, even the chicken room.
Yeah.
Is like, you can just imagine what this entire house smells like, and it's
just heat and corpse rot.
Yeah, no thanks. No thanks. Just immediately, like, you're putting yourself in their shoes, going like, okay, what would possess you to continue traversing this house? Now that you've smelled whatever you're smelling right now, why not just turn around and leave, you know? But yeah, I think that is like, that movie laid a lot of the groundwork for daytime horror, adding the heat and everything as an element into it as well. You can't beat it. You can't. It's like, people have tried, and so many people have tried to improve upon the original Texas Chainsaw, and no one's ever going to.
No.
Number 2 is pretty fun.
Number 2 is fun.
Chop Top will always be
Number 2 is
one of the
very
funnest
fun.
characters in the world.
I love 2, but not like the summer heat.
No.
And not the like.
And not the madness.
Yeah. Like, watching everybody suffer in Texas Chainsaw Massacre is really what brings it. Like, the reason the dinner sequence is so uncomfortable is just, we've built up to this. Nothing about this movie has been comfortable. You're trying to enjoy your summer? No, absolutely not. And like, having seen all of the food and the meat rot up to this point and seeing it being force fed to her. Yeah. And like, getting back to the corpse rot, Grandpa as a character, he is just a rotting corpse.
Yeah.
Until you find out, like, maybe not.
Mm-hmm.
There's still some life left in these bones. And, like,
Yeah.
watching him, like, ugh.
Yeah.
Yeah, he's yucky.
He's yucky.
They're all yucky.
Grandpa gets sweaty too.
Yeah.
Ew, yeah.
Not a pleasant thought.
I think it also doesn't help, like, knowing how difficult it was, like, to film the original
Oh, yeah.
Texas
The actual
Chainsaw.
heat.
The actual heat, the torment on set, and, you know, some of the stuff that we found out later on, and it all makes that final scene of her in the back of the truck just so much more impactful. But yeah, that must have been horrible for the remake as well, in that heat, trying to film something like that.
Oh yeah.
I think they lost actual footage to the heat. I think actors may have suffered heat stroke on set. I think Gunnar Hansen was the original Leatherface, right? I think he might have in suit suffered from the heat in like an actual medical problem.
I know one of
regard.
one of the slashes had like a burn from one of the masks that they had to wear. I don't know if it was Leatherface or someone.
That was Kane Hodder.
Oh, it was? Okay. I knew it was one of the slashes. I wasn't sure if it was Gunnar Hansen, though. Okay. But yeah.
And Gunnar Hansen. Speaking of Gunnar Hansen, I don't know that this is necessarily Heatwave Horror, but Mosquito. I
don't know
I
Mosquito.
love that movie.
I don't know.
We don't know Mosquito.
I never
Okay,
even
this
heard
is
of
this is a
Mosquito.
trip for an adventure for a different episode.
I've seen a lot of bug movies.
Yeah, and it's just giant mosquitoes that have been mutated by a comet that landed
That makes sense.
in a state park. So it just like made them the size of a Doberman. And Gunnar Hansen is in it, and he gets to wield a chainsaw in the movie.
Hell yeah.
And it's just so good. It's so good. It takes place during the summer, and they're at this campground. You're following a what do you call it, like a park ranger, and like these other people who are just trying to get away from the mosquitoes as they're literally, I think it's like around the 4th of July. So sure, let's say that it was really hot. They fly into this campground and just take out all the people that came
Sick.
to camp out for the 4th of July and like barbecue and stuff. And then you just got this tracking shot as they're following the camp, the park ranger, going past all the tents with the people just being like an emptied Capri Sun, you know. It's so much fun.
I'm gonna
it's
have
so
to
much
find
fun.
this.
It's probably on Amazon or something like that, or Hulu. But yeah, Gunnar Hansen wielding a chainsaw in that movie is just the highlight for me. I love it. It's so much.
Glad that we found this trajectory, because I totally forgot and I didn't write it down. We watched a movie. It's not great. I'm not gonna like, you know.
Does it have to be?
No, but I did have a good time, and it did fit the criteria.
Okay.
We watched this movie, and Anna, I hope you remember the name of it, but it takes place in Manhattan during a heat wave, and you have a bunch of people who are isolated in this apartment complex, kind of like, what is I like quarantine, you guys like...
Wreck.
Wreck.
Quarantine's a remake of Wreck, but yes,
I know.
continue.
That's why I needed the name. So it's kind of like Wreck in that regard, where
Okay.
everybody's trapped in this apartment complex. in
Oh,
the
where they
midst of
turn
this
into
heat
rat
wave.
people?
Yeah, there's mutated rats in the middle of a heat wave, and they're just like
Nice.
climbing up through the sewers. And so you get people who are like trying to take refuge in their showers and like cool off, but the rats are coming through the pipes and they're biting people and turning them into rat people.
I don't find the name of this movie.
Yeah, I can't remember the name of it. It like
Pause
wasn't
for
great,
research.
but I liked what I saw.
I watched it recently.
Yeah, I ended up watching this both for this and New Metal because it is edited and shot kind of like a New Metal movie. It's got those blues and greens. It's mostly shot on like definitely not like top tier cameras, but like a little higher end than like camcorders.
Yeah.
And it's definitely edited like a New Metal. So I was like, oh, like maybe this can go in either one. And at the moment, I didn't feel confidently about it in either episode.
Okay.
But as we're talking about mosquitoes, I think maybe this movie deserves just like a little bit of a shout out.
Listen, Manhattan during the summer, all the garbage is out there waiting to be collected. Again, you know, you're talking about the heat creating oppression, and the smell is definitely something.
Yeah.
Mulberry Street.
Mulberry Street. Of course, I wouldn't think of that as the name for like the Ratman horror movie.
Yeah, I scrolled past it on my letterbox and I was like, it wasn't that one. It was Mulberry Street.
It just happens to take place on Mulberry Street, an apartment on Mulberry Street.
Got it. I love that though. I'm happy for the rat people.
The rat people were pretty solid. Like the moments that we did get to see them, because you get to watch an evolution of them. Like first people are getting hair behind the ears, then they're getting itchy and agitated, which again, heat agitation is real.
Yeah.
So you don't know, like, is this shit going down in this bar because everybody's on edge, or is it because they're rat people? And then like
we may never know.
Come in and the eyes come in and they do full face prosthetics.
It reminded me of like Infestation in that like it looks really silly and hokey and it all takes place in an apartment building. But it was like you could actually take a lot of it kind of seriously in the end somehow. Even though they were turning into rats, you were like, oh, there's real danger and there's real people and real feelings involved. It was very strange. But yeah, definitely recommend.
It did something that I was liking about some of these, where I think when we came into this episode, I was prepared for slow burns, pun fully intended. I was prepared for slow burns, but utilizing atmospheric shots to really showcase that the atmosphere is a character here. It is playing a role. And Mulberry Street absolutely does that. It whiffs a little bit because they are filming on quote unquote the hottest day of the year.
Right.
But there's a lot of cloud coverage.
Okay.
So
could be smog.
they're puffy Simpson style clouds in the sky that day. But they did what they needed to, and they showcased the scenery to make it, you know, they're showing the like crowded city streets. They're showing people like, I forget if it was like a block party or a protest or something, but there's barricades and people stuck behind them. And the city gets quarantined off from the rest of the world.
Oh, yeah.
So it emphasizes that isolation.
Quarantined or multi-block party?
Multi-block block party, rat party.
It's like 28 days later, but for New York.
Yeah.
Instead of London.
Oh, yeah. Maybe I like this more than I let on. Maybe I got like 2-day-old nostalgia goggles. Who knows?
You're a New York rat man. I mean,
I am a New York rat man. Go Rats. What's everybody rooting for these days? Yeah, Mulberry Street is definitely one that I forgot about until this moment. I got one that I had a good time with that also actually wasn't great.
Okay.
This was one where I watched it on a whim. I got up earlier than Anna. I was like, let me do like a little bit of podcast research, throw this on, see what it's about. But it did have some pleasant surprises. Because I think it's the only movie I can think of that is a summer horror movie at a water park.
Okay.
I caught the last 10 minutes of this and I'm still tutting. Yeah.
Growing up on Long Island, going to Splish Splash during the summer and knowing how gross a water park is to begin with and how much of a hazard a water park is to begin with. You know, I had to see what this was about. So I watched Aqua Slash.
Okay.
And the tagline of this movie was basically just something to the effect of summer graduation bash, but there's razor blades in the water slides. And boy, is that an understatement.
Yeah, I've seen the clips of this.
Okay, so I'm not alone in this.
Yeah,
we're familiar with Aqua Slash at least.
Yeah.
Heat definitely played a factor.
Okay.
Tensions are high between family, friends, the owners of this water park. Everything is in transition. Kind of like Cujo, everybody's having affairs with everybody. And so the relief of building up to, because it is a build up from this beach party, from the graduation, and the cliques not vibing with each other. And like there is like a summer coming of age vibe to it as well. It all builds up to what we've been waiting for, this annual water slide contest that is this long held tradition. There's 3 slides. We all know how it goes. You're racing. One of them is probably shorter than the other. Who really knows? But because the tensions are so high with everybody, you're trying to figure out who put the razor blades in the water slide.
Right.
And also, I say razor blades, but they're not. They're like full on, they're like swords that go through this slide, and they're getting chopped.
Yeah.
And the pressure is building because no one's able to communicate with each other because one person's at the top of the slide, one person's at the bottom of the slide.
Yeah.
And the walkies are cutting out, I think because of the heat. And so bodies are piling up in this.
But also they could just be like, they're not getting any communication. They're like, oh, can we send the next kids down? Oh, no one's answering. I guess it's fine.
Yeah.
And they just keep sending them down. And that was when I woke up.
Chopped up.
I woke up and that was all I saw of this movie. Was I just walked in and everyone just kept going down and I was like, what is happening? But yeah, the idea of water parks in general is disgusting. I can't swim. Obviously, I'm from England. We don't have water parks because
You guys are in Ireland.
Yeah, but like, no. You don't need to go in water in England. Like unless it's a swimming pool, you do not go in rivers. You do not go in the ocean.
And you don't go in the Thames.
You absolutely
they're traumatized by the Thames. That's
you absolutely do not go in the Thames. I've known several people to have to get like vaccinations as soon as you go anywhere near the Thames. But I've been to one water park in my life for someone who has never been able to swim.
Is it the Shrek-themed one on the Thames?
No.
There is a Shrek-themed water ride on the Thames.
That's a
Just putting
ride.
that out
That's
there.
different. It was a saltwater park in Barcelona when I was a kid. And I just remember being horrified about like the salt water in the air. And I remember my brother getting completely burnt to a crisp because obviously
man.
it's like Spain heat with salt water. And that really freaked me out. And I remember my mom being like, well, at least it's salt water, or I wouldn't take them to a park that didn't have salt water because at least it's clean.
Yeah.
So then knowing that that's not a common thing for water parks, and it just reminds me of that South Park episode every time I think of a water park, and that's how I view them. So mixing that with swords, and then seeing the like in Aquaslash the pool of body parts,
The body
and
parts were good.
blood, and like just kids swim and kids sliding down, not knowing with their mouths open.
Oh, yeah. They lean into it. They
Yeah.
lean full hard into
They,
it.
any fear that you have of a water park, they will lean into it.
Yeah, Aquaslash knew what it was doing. It knew what it was working with. It's definitely got some touchy performances. Again, not great, but I had a great time.
For just like the 10 minutes that I saw, it seemed like it was like sleepaway camp vibes, but in a water park.
I think it's like a cool hour and a half, and I think it builds itself nicely up to that because like by then you know everybody's business, and you are at a little bit of like a who's doing it because tensions are so high.
Yeah, and you did your usual. As soon as I walked in the room, you went, "It's that person." And I went, "Okay."
I think as hard as it was to find things that met the criteria for Heatwave Horror and specifically what we were looking for, there's some pretty solid gems in here. Ultimately, I think what I got out of this is I want to see more summer horror. I want to see more horror that emphasizes the heat. I went down a rabbit hole of watching like desert movies, and so many of them, for being in the middle of the desert, don't touch on the actual desert being part of this,
Right.
the heat being part of this. So I'd definitely like to see more of those. In the meantime, do you guys want your fear of the day?
Yes.
Your fear of the day is astophobia.
Fear of the heat.
It is.
Oh,
Right on the money. It's the fear of hot weather.
I mean, I've got that, so that makes sense. And you have a recommendation?
You guys want me to do the recommendation? Okay, so this is a like half-hearted recommendation because technically we haven't finished this movie, but right before we started this episode, we were at the tail end of the movie The Toy Box. What a strange find. I never thought in my life I would see a haunted RV movie, but this is. It's a haunted RV it focuses on like we were saying earlier, like maybe this is a road trip movie, maybe this is a heat wave movie. They do utilize the heat to their advantage in this because everybody is going stir crazy and, you know, stuck in an RV on the side of a desert highway. There's some good moments in this, though. At one point, a haunting happens, and I'm not going to spoil it. Nah, it's one of the best parts. That was one of the best parts of it. I as far as we've gotten with maybe like 10 to 12 minutes left, I would recommend checking out the toy box, especially because these movies are hard to find, especially ones that hit all these criteria, like we were saying. And the toy box does it, and it does it in some very strange ways with supernatural elements, true crime elements, and some good injury and death sequences. But I think that's all I've got as far as this whole list of Heatwave horrors goes.
And it is really hot today, so yeah.
Appropriate day to record this episode. But for now, thanks for tuning in. I'm Anthony.
I'm Anna.
I'm John.
Happy haunting.